welcome back. This is CBH4K, and this is Zero Company? Star Wars Zero Company. Before we begin with this trailer breakdown from PC Gamer, I just want to start by just saying, giving my reasoning for why there hasn't been influx of videos in the channel. This will just be like channel nonsense that I talk about for a couple of minutes. You guys can skip ahead if you don't want to see. In fact, I'm going to leave a little marker in the channel for it so you guys can skip ahead. I have been unfortunately busy. It is tax season, as many of you will know. I hope you got your taxes done, because you should probably prioritize that. And which I did for the past couple of weeks, and a few other things came in the way, and I was just sort of like, it slowed down the production of videos. But don't worry, barring anything crazy happening, we should pick up maybe next week, if not probably following week. Let's just say it like that. The following week of next week, we'll probably pick up production of videos. Okay. Just letting you guys know that now. Hopefully nothing crazy happens. Alright. But it'll probably be here next week. Earliest. I'll probably do Menace. I don't know if I'll keep doing Menace because I kind of want to shelve it so we can work on it. But I might do one more video on it, maybe extended one on it, and just drop that. And but I will definitely be going back to Xcom's Long War, because I did start that playthrough, and I want to continue it for a little bit longer before I shelve it. If you guys want to see it and if you want to continue, let me know. I might also start doing a Xenonauts playthrough. I haven't decided yet. We'll see. Anyway, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for listening to my stuff, and let's continue. Just stopping by like you're gonna leave. Now, all right. Zero Company. They just dropped something on PC Gamer, and I decided to watch it.
The way we tell stories in the genre, and I want to make choice even more.
Got the full video in the description, as well as a link to the intro, the announcement trailer for this game. I think it was probably released almost a year now. Yeah. Let's go.
I want to change the way we tell stories in the genre, and I want to make choice even more meaningful.
You should have better frame rate, better graphics, better stories, because we can take a moment, have an immersive moment.
This one's actually doing it, and it looks really good, and it played really good.
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars Zero Company has been shrouded in mystery since its reveal last year, but the simple sell of Star Wars Xcom is tough to beat, especially since Studio Bit Reactor boasts a ton of X4Axis XCOM devs led by the series' former art director, Greg Furch. I came in with high expectations, and they were easily cleared.
One that they got former XCOM devs is nice to know, because XCOM did a good job. And
this is going to be a great game, not just for tactics fans, but anyone who digs Star Wars or cinematic RPGs like Mass Effect.
Mass Effect and XCOM are two different things. In fact, the only time I've ever heard XCOM and Mass Effect be brought up together was when that certain XCOM game, I think it was The Division, the game they released after Enemy Unknown, and they thought they would make a lot of money off of it, and people played it, and it was just sort of like a light mix of Mass Effects and a light mix of XCOM. A lot of people hated that one. I feel like that one was unfairly hated because everyone wanted to play Enemy Unknown because it was a unique playing experience for a lot of people who never played anything like it before. And XCOM, that other one, I don't even know what its name is. You're gonna have to look it up. It didn't land with a lot of people at the time it came out. So that one that was dropped by 2K was probably its fate was sealed. Let's just say it like that. So hopefully they don't make the same mistake and they realize what people really want from a game like this and focus on that.
In addition to 4.5 hours of hands-on time with the game, I interviewed many of the devs behind it and dug into what you can expect from Zero Company when it releases later this year. Unfortunately, I wasn't allowed to capture footage of my play session, but yay.
Mm-hmm.
has provided
So
screenshots.
there's no PlayStation, but let's look at the. Yeah, it looks kind of XCOM. It has a similar UI. I wonder if that's where the difference is.
Footage of my play session, but EA has provided screenshots and artwork to help illustrate the game's current state.
What is there?
Zero Company is a Clone Wars story. You'll play through a deep single-player campaign that pitches your squad against separatist droids, criminal gangs, and a new faction, the separatist-aligned cult, the Infinite Coil, who are bent on releasing a deadly plague across the galaxy which imbues unusual and superhuman abilities on the host.
Star Wars and the Clone Wars there.
Okay, that sounds interesting. Like it has a new wrinkle. I don't know why they would do that. Because the thing about you gotta realize is Star Wars lore is very deep and very huge. I don't know if I would be comfortable adding something unless it was a part of something else. Because if you go to a Star Wars lore channel, like Star Wars Theory or something like that, you will find like a ton of things about Star Wars. And I feel like you wouldn't need to make something new for it, in my honest opinion, for this game. But if they did make something new and it was something interesting that got people in, I can't see it being too bad, if you catch my drift. But I can also see it being terrible. We will not talk about the Star Wars Acolyte show. Let's just say it like that.
We're presented with a very specific, Republic-centered perspective. But we know, as the audience, that the Republic becomes an empire eventually, and that maybe the perspective we're getting during the Clone Wars is sort of biased from a certain point of view. Having these conflicting ideologies was really interesting, because we know the way that these ideologies will shake out. The dust will settle into an era of rebels and empire, of very light and dark, good and evil. But things aren't so clear during the Clone Wars era, and that makes for a really interesting opportunity to, present a player perspective.
You play as Hawks, a former Republic officer now leading an elite squad of professionals for hire. They're both your point of view character and a strong battlefield unit. Think Commander Shepard by way of one of those tactician characters from
I kind of disagree with this, because it puts the commander in danger, but also I kind of don't want to make my own custom character. I just want to be in the back doing... just being in command is good for this game. I feel like a lot of people want this because they want their own character in the game, but I don't know. It just doesn't fit right into the XCOM world, because even if you do make your own custom one, it's sort of like, why? Because you can make custom units pretty much with all your units. And I want to... here's the thing. I don't want it to be mostly about set characters. I just want to have my own sort of moments within the game where I don't... okay, XCOM's really good at telling stories within the larger Alien War story. You'll always remember your best first Marine who you brought up, who learned who became basically a Rambo in the game. But if they already start out kind of a Rambo already, then it sort of takes away from them becoming a Rambo, if that makes any sense. Well, another way of looking at it is you're basically starting with a bunch of people who will most likely die, but a few of them come up and become the best of the best because of luck, because of what your good strategies, because of good tactics. You feel like you made some powerful A-team within a few hours of gameplay that really stick with you through their entire game. It's a much more interesting idea than to have them start out as this elite team that is already becoming an elite, even more elite. It takes away, in my opinion. This is all my opinion, by the way. It takes away from the idea of building that elite squad. If they're already elite at the start. And if there's a player character, then they're going to make him elite. That's just the way that works.
You're not a lone hero kind of like standing up against the world, felling enemies but with a swing of your blade. You're a relatively ordinary person. You're leading a tactical squad. You're leading an organization. But you have to make them work together in order to achieve a goal. It's the fantasy of leading a squad and a management and organization. You experience the story directly. You're not a removed figure. You're there. I felt when I came on board the project that was intrinsic to making this a satisfying Star Wars story. That's who we empathize with, the people who kind of like get dirty and have our boots on the ground with it. So that's why Hawks has that role.
I think the thing that surprised me the most was like how RPG it is. You know, you're talking to people, you're making choices. It feels like you're Commander Shepard on the Normandy in between missions.
We have these author heroes who are, you know, Jedi Padawans or Mandalorian gunslingers or an Umbaran sniper, you know, a clone soldier. These really iconic, you know, archetypes from the Clone Wars era.
And so what is really fun about this game is having different perspectives, having the Republic perspective from Bennett, having the Separatist perspective from Runa, having someone like Nish who's from the underworld who's just here to make a quick credit, you know?
Having them be introduced into the story of Zero Company and recruited in the squad one by one provides us a lot of momentum to kind of like carry you through the game. And there's, you know, as they come into the squad, they bring their own personal conflicts and dramas with them.
Even just like these snippets of these characters, like it was not...
Okay, so again, it's the characters are becoming, they're not random characters, they're pre-made characters. So it's going to be like an RPG, basically. Okay, I can work with that. Because I was thinking it was more like going to be like XCOM, but it's going to be less XCOM and more of a turn-based game that has a few XCOM elements, but it's mostly a RPG, like a JRPG or something like that, where you collect people, like Expedition 33. It's going to be something like that, or Persona, or something like that, or Final Fantasy. One of the Final Fantasy games. That's probably the best one. Everyone knows Final Fantasy, hopefully.
Hammy, you know, superhero stuff. It was genuinely funny moments. The characters really were kind of coming off the screen a little bit. It was exciting.
We also have our bond system. Zero Company squad, you know, grows and becomes actually more capable. Like two heroes can actually cross-train and learn each other's abilities as their bond and their affinity for each other's grow.
It rewards you for the squad.
So in the affinity, okay. So the bond develops between them. That's interesting. I suppose, and look. All I hear, you got this random squad, and I'm like, you sure about it? Well, I see them trying to make it both now. Because here they have, like, I feel like these are random characters because it's just the way they're dressed and the way they look. I honestly think they're trying to do both, and I would probably tell you, you may want to just pick one or the other.
Put together, and it rewards the way that you play.
Yeah, we hope you care about these characters, and I know I do, especially as I'm building bonds with them and they start to become more and more powerful in my play sessions. So when I walk by, I want to see what they're decorating their desk with, or who they're hanging out with between missions.
It was really critical that we allowed
So appearance can be changed. That's good.
for bonds to decay and fracture as well due to your actions, because that's part of the fantasy of being a leader.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's sort of like this spy detective element to Zero Company. It's the war within the war. It's sort of like, it's not the massive battles of clone troopers and battle droids. It's, you know, these small theaters of war and low intensity conflict that kind of brings with it a little bit of that sort of like spy thriller angle.
And the really shocking thing is, like, you know, the main story missions, you'll go in there and you'll have like a third person action camera. Like it looks like Jedi Survivor or something. And you'll be, you know, walking around as if it were an action game. And it's like amazing, you know, AAA production values.
Mm-hmm.
Really that immersion into these different planets.
Okay, so let's look at this planet. You got rewards, unknown, focus point, 100 credits, and 50 something else. Eavesdrop on the coils meeting at the docks. Hawks is eliminated. That's a fair. Okay. See, that's again another reason why I don't like it. You could have just had squad is eliminated as a failure, but and see, you're going to restart. You're going to ruin your Iron Man There's so many things that go with it.
As you get to go down was what drove that desire to have those kind of free roam moments. And
I'm not saying it's a deal breaker. I'm just saying there's so many things that go with it. Okay, well, let's look at this. Striker Tech, Resonating Strike. Coil is testing some prototype enhancement for Striker. This is our only chance to knock it out before the improvements are rolled out across the organization. One more. Okay, so it's to stop it. Oh, this is a galaxy map. Oh, it's kind of like the XCOM thing again. Again, comparing it.
And we often sometimes call them on team like our deep breath moments. It's kind of that
Destroy coil upgrade, 110 level, plus 110.
chance for someone who just had their tactical combat experience, and then they get a minute to kind of collect themselves, take in the environment, take in the world, take in the visuals, and kind of prep for kind of that next tactical engagement where then your kind of heart gets pumping again.
And then you reach a fight, and it zooms all the way out to like the XCOM strategic view. This one's actually doing it, and it looks really good, and it played really good.
This innovative combination of third-person exploration, RPG storytelling, and turn-based tactics is less surprising when you learn more about who's making this game. While developer
Third-person exploration? That might be an interesting wrinkle to it.
Actor is a brand new studio. The team features alumni from Respawn's Jedi series, as well as strategy
It depends on how you use it, because sometimes it just burns away. It doesn't work out. Sometimes, I don't know a specific example, but sometimes first-person exploration or third-person exploration kind of fizzles out because, I don't know, it depends on the game. I'll just say that. I won't say anything too negative because I don't remember a specific game there where it didn't play out, but I do remember not liking every single one of those. I switched over to tactical out of third-person exploration.
From Firaxis. Founder Greg Furch spent 2 decades at Firaxis,
Even though it moves faster, it's in third-person exploration. I'll say it like that.
refining the turn-based tactics experience with games like XCOM, Civilization, and Marvel's Midnight Suns.
I had left Firaxis after 22 years, and I was kind of working on what I wanted to do next. I knew I wanted to stay in tactics, and I definitely had an axe to grind with the genre. There's so much more we can do. It was a Friday night, and I got a call out of nowhere. I'm sitting in my office with the lights out and my computer on, and wife's asleep, my kids are asleep, and phone rings. And it's this number that I don't recognize. I'm like, And for some reason, I answered it. And the voice on the other end said, "Hey, Greg, this is Vince Zampella. I heard you have a game you want to make. Can you tell me about it?" We talked for a long time, and he eventually said, do you think you can make a Star Wars game with this? And I said,
Oh,
sure,
that's what you
absolutely.
say.
Meanwhile, I'm thinking, this is insane, right? Like, this is crazy. It's Star Wars. And Vince was just like, pitch me.
We worked with Respawn for a long time. We've worked with Electronic Arts for a long time, and we've been wanting to make a game in this genre. We know that the turn-based tactics genre just rewards meaningful choice, and when you take that genre and you add it to a brand,
I see potential in this game. I want to make that very clear. I see solid potential in it. My criticisms aren't to attack this game or attack the people making it. My criticisms are to hopefully help them if they listen to this. And if somebody else listens to this and you try to get tips on what to do, I hope it guides them a little bit. Not a lot. I don't want to just take over their vision. But I want them to understand how to not only make this profitable, but make this have high, like, people talk about it for like years. Like, people are still talking about the XCOM game, and they came out in 2011. Okay, that changed the gaming industry possibly for the next couple of decades, at least. And well, yeah, it turns out it did because it's been a few decades. But the thing that really brought me into this turn-based type of thing was XCOM, Enemy Unknown, the Firaxis version. So it's really, to me, it's really important that this game does. Well, I wouldn't say I'm desperate for it, but it's important that it has a solid view, and it works and people like it because it can turn into an industry game changer. Like, people still talk about Skyrim. Skyrim is one of the most beloved games that has ever been made. No one brings up other games outside of Skyrim. Like, think about when Skyrim was made, and there was a lot of first person shooters that came out, and Skyrim sort of outdid all of them. Yeah.
Like ours that drives some meaningful choice. We knew that would be something that would make fans happy. And
wait, was it 2011 XCOM came out? 2012 was when it was released. Wow. Has the time ever flown?
Where Greg starts talking about, I want to change the way we tell stories in the genre, and I want to make choice even more meaningful, and I want to present things in a more cinematic fashion.
It's so easy for genre fans to kind of wear it as a badge of oh, the art doesn't matter, the graphics don't matter, the story doesn't matter, it's all about the gameplay. It is. The gameplay is what it is about. But depth doesn't cost you elegance. You can absolutely have all those other things. Mm-hmm. It's a single player game. There's not latency issues. You should have better frame rates, which means better graphics than other games. You should have better stories, because we can take the camera and tell
you
a story. We take a moment, have an immersive moment without it really changing your flow, because it's expected. Genre fans got conditioned to believe that they shouldn't have these things. But we're here to tell you can have both.
When he was building the studio, it was really important to him that he had experienced devs making turn-based strategy games, and then another percentage that were experienced devs that have not made strategy games, that come from other genres.
Here we are, we're a brand new studio.
He really made
pedigree in a space, and there's almost 20 of us that have worked together before, so we're not really a garage shop. We're a new studio. You've got these two giants taking a chance on someone like us, having the vision and the courage and the conviction and the faith in us, right?
I hope it works out. I really do.
Something outside of their norms. I think that's worth mentioning. It's just not common anymore. It's been amazing.
I really do think this.
Once we get into combat, Zero Company should be immediately familiar if you've played Xcom before.
Mm-hmm.
It feels deep. It felt like I could have played a lot cleaner and was, I had fights where I barely scraped by.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy the puzzles that I get to solve in those spaces. It's like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, I need to get enough advantage to do this.
Yes.
How am I going to make that happen right now?
That's
this
basically
unit
how
might
it
be able
feels.
to take a couple of shots over here.
Complicated
Then I'm going to be
puzzle.
able to go and use my rocket jump over to here. Now, after I do that and knock those units back, maybe it'll go into Overwatch. It's that plotting and planning and then execution of my plan that's rewarding. And then having the challenges that the game presents me to give me novel, unique situations so that I can't fall into a predictable pattern or strategy all the time. Those moments just feel good. They're the moments you tell your friends about when you're playing a game.
As with XCOM, your squad consists of 4 operators. This stops the action from getting too overwhelming, according to its developers.
Most of the games in this particular genotype of tactics games have landed in the 4 to 6 units range. If you start to go below 4 units, you walk this razor's edge where losing a unit becomes potentially catastrophic. Similarly, if you go much above 6 units, the camera needs to pull out higher. You need to see more of the battle space. There need to be more enemy units on the field for you to deal with. And that often results in simplifying the action space of each individual unit so that the player can parse everything that they're dealing with. So for this particular type of tactics game where you move your whole team at one time and then you rotate to the enemy team and they take their whole turn at one time, 4 to 6 tends to be a pretty playable place for that game to be.
It all feels super tense in a very similar way to XCOM. Even with RPG...
I'm playing Long War, and Long War was a lot of fun, but there's too many units on the field. It is it feels a bit overwhelming. It feels like there's moments where you feel like you're overpowered, but there's also moments where you feel like you're underpowered because they added more units onto the enemy side, and it has moments where it's really good, but it feels like it it unnecessarily adds more complications to the situation when you add too many units. When you have just the right amount, you can actually parlay some really cool strategies and prizes for not just for the enemy but for yourself, because you're working with much more limited resources, and the enemy's working with much more limited resources. So you both have to be more creative in certain situations. But I know I'm talking about AI and computers and stuff like that, but it still has a sense of strategy that's unique to itself. Like, each unit plays in a certain way, and you have to know how they play that way and where to use them at their best and most efficient. If you don't understand how their skills are used or what they're doing, you can easily ruin any chance of winning, or you can just misuse that unit throughout the entire thing. You can easily tell a experienced XCOM player versus someone who has never played any strategy or tactic games ever within a few minutes of them playing, because they'll start doing things like standing out of cover. I remember my first time I played XCOM, and I stood out of cover a lot to see what would happen, and it did not go well. So, yeah, get to cover.
The elements. There's never that sense of snowballing and invincibility you get with an overpowered build in like Baldur's Gate 3. And there's the ever-present threat that any of your guys, including the named hero operators, can be killed permanently.
Mm-hmm.
A character as beloved as Cab Uppercut, or one-armed Felshi Boxer, he can just catch a blaster bolt and be gone very, very, very early in the game, and the story has to go on with him.
It really heightens the emotions you feel, because now that soldier going down has a lot higher stakes, and you're like, do I let them die or do I get them? What's my opportunity cost here? How am I going to sort this out?
Star Wars is about loss. I mean, 4 years old watching Obi-Wan Kenobi die, right? Like, also, like, as a developer, wanting people to not save scum, but to push through the loss.
I like the fact that he brought up, he didn't talk about the sequel trilogy. I just want to point that out.
Like, what's on the other side?
I just want to be petty and point that out.
Experience, feel it. But you save scum, it's like hiding your feelings. Like, I'm just not going to let it die. It's part of what the genre can do so well, because it's about a group of characters. I can lose one, and it's not game over.
If you want to have a Star Wars story-driven experience with a cast of really like well-realized, authored characters that we poured a lot of love into, it's there for you. But if you want to roll with your own team, you can absolutely do that as well. And we spared no expense to try and make that, just a satisfying experience for the player.
This degree of customization and squad makeup allows for some unusual builds. The astromech droids in the game are support units with extra utility slots for grenades and the like, and designer James Brawley is very passionate about squads consisting solely of R2's D2.
I always wanted astromechs to be a playable unit in the squad. I always wanted to give them a special place as the king of support units, basically. One of my fondest gaming memories was going back to the original Final Fantasy and playing through the entire game with 4 white mages, which made the game phenomenally difficult in the first 4 to 5 hours of gameplay.
Of course.
And eventually, it turns out that that's actually an incredibly powerful solution to almost every problem in the later games. So always in the back of my head, I was like, what if you played through the game with 4 astromechs? I wanted that to be possible. It's going to be pretty interesting because a lot of your combat capabilities, if you do that, are going to be defined by your ownership of the utility items in the game, which ones you can bring on the squad. That's where all of your offensive capability is going to come from in that case.
Zero Company is a great tactics game, and if you've been craving something to hit that XCOM 2 sweet spot, your wait will soon be over. But what really surprised me was BitReactor's emphasis on storytelling and presentation, all without sacrificing any of that tactical depth. I think that combination is going to really push this game over the top and make it one to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be huge if they do it
For all
right.
things Star Wars Zero Company, head over to PCGamer.com, and for more previews of the latest upcoming games, subscribe to PC Gamer.
Well, that does it. I really am excited for it. I really hope it does well. Like I said before, I'm kind of iffy on it, but that's not the developer's problem. Okay, the developer, I have no problem with the developer. I actually think the developer could make a really solid game with the Star Wars franchise. The problem I have with it is I'm unsure about them making what side of the coin they're going to favor here. Are they going to favor the custom characters? Or are they going to favor their characters they're being made? Like, because permadeath really makes the game unplayable if you get rid of all the main characters from the squad that are just killed off. Like, because you're going to have to basically restart if the character dies. If one character dies, that is not... Even if it's not Hawks, the main character, even if it's just like a regular character that's named and that's probably comes up in cutscenes and stuff like that, you're going to have to protect them because it quickly becomes about making sure you have all the characters in for the story beats and stuff like that. But hopefully they can make a good balance. I have a lot of faith in this development team, the way, because they have a good pedigree. They were talking about, like, yeah, we're really into Star Wars, we're really into turn-based games. Like, yeah, that's a good place to start from. I really think they'll make something really good if they're focusing on. But my other problem is I don't have that much faith in Disney stuff. I feel like I'm not the only one who says that, but Disney has not done well with the Star Wars license. I liked Andor. I will concede that I did like Andor, and I might have liked a few other things that they did, but I honestly think that they've gotten more wrong than right with the Star Wars franchise, and like way more wrong than right. And when people say it's dead, it's not coming back, it's a little bit hyperbole, but at the same time, man, they really did a number on this franchise. Because you that's not killing my own interest for it. It just makes me want to reassess it before I even consider buying. Like, I'm much more cautious about this one than I would normally be if it... For instance, if you said, like, they had done nothing really with the brand until this point, I wouldn't be so cautious about it. I'd be like, yeah, we should get this. Oh, man, get this day one. I'm going to get this day one. I would be, like, in that mode with it. But here I'm just sort of like, oh, what's wrong with it? Like, you know, like, I don't hate it. I'm not against it. But it's that negative feeling from the previous, okay, like Star Wars Acolyte and the sequel trilogy. People are starting to hate that more and more nowadays. I'm trying to think what else. People are actually starting to like the prequels. Funnily enough, people are starting to like the prequels. Let's see, the third of the Boba Fett series. Oh, the Boba Fett. The third season, The Mandalorian, people did not like that. Boba Fett. How can you take one of the coolest characters in Star Wars and do that, Disney? Disney, no. Oh, God. Anyway, thank you so much for stopping by. This is the CBH4K. This is the Zero Company. I am excited for it. I'm hoping it does well. I have faith in this developer, but my stance is you should never pre-order unless you really, really, really think you're going to love this game. And even then, I say be careful. Because I broke my pre-order rule for Starfield. Okay? I'll let you figure out whether or not I regret it. From that sigh alone, alright? I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for stopping by. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that jazz. Thank you one more time, because it was really nice of you to spend time, listen to me rant and rave, and nitpick and complain. It wasn't in vain, because hopefully you got entertained. That was bars. That was bars, yeah. That was good. That's real good. I can't top that, so let's end it.